Have you ever worried that one short resignation letter could either protect your reputation for years or quietly damage relationships you may need later? And that concern is more important than most people realize, because when people think about leaving a job, they usually focus on the offer, the salary, or the next opportunity. But the way you exit matters too. And if you want to know how to write a letter of resignation the right way, the goal is not just to be polite. The goal is to protect your professional reputation, preserve valuable relationships, and live in a way that keeps door open. Hi, I am Michael Akbar with Yes Career Coaching. In this video, you will learn how to write a letter of resignation that is professional, respectful, and strategically smart, so you can move on with confidence that without burning a bridge you may need later. Because in many industries, the professional world is smaller than it looks, and a graceful exit can matter more than people think. Let's start with why this letter matters. Some people assume they can just tell their manager verbally and move on. You should absolutely have that conversation first when possible, but the resignation letter is your formal record. It documents your intent to resign, clarifies your last day, and helps prevent confusion about timing. It also becomes part of your HR file. That means this is not just a casual note. It is part of a professional trail you leave behind. And if a future employer checks references, if you cross paths with the people again, and if you ever want to return to the company in a stronger role, you want your exit to reflect maturity, professionalism, and a sound judgment. So let's talk about how to write a letter of resignation in a way that does exactly that. First, keep it simple. This is not the time for a long explanation, a personal manifesto, or a list of grievances. A strong resignation letter is clear, direct, and calm. Start with a professional opening such as, please accept this letter as formal notice of my resignation from my position as whatever that position title is. Then state your final working day clearly. For example, my last day will be the day and the month. That date matters. Be specific. Do not leave room for interpretation. After that, include a brief note of appreciation. Even if the experience was mixed, try to mention something positive you can say honestly. It could be appreciation for the opportunity, for what you learned, or for the experience you gained. This is not about pretending everything was perfect. It is about showing self-control and professionalism. Then add one sentence about supporting a smooth transition. Something like, I'm committed to doing what I can to make the transition as smooth as possible over the coming days. That signals maturity and reduce anxiety on the employer's side. Then close professionally with something simple like sincerely or best regards, followed by your name. That is the core structure. Clean, brief, professional. Now let's talk about the tone, because tone is where people often get themselves into trouble. If you're leaving on good terms, your tone can be warm. You can say you're grateful for the opportunity, that you valued certain experiences, or that you appreciated the support you received. But if you're leaving because the situation has been difficult, keep the tone neutral, not emotional. This is very important. You do not need to vent in this letter. You do not need to describe what went wrong. You do not need to mention the toxic worker, the bad manager, or the frustrations that pushed you out. Even if those things are real, the resignation letter is not the place to process them. Your reputation is worth more than a final shot on the way out. If the environment has been rough, the best move is often a short, factual, professional letter. Clear intent, brief goodwill, that's enough. In other words, when thinking about how to write a letter of resignation, remember this. You are not writing to express everything you feel. You're writing to leave well. Now, let's talk about timing, because timing affects how the letter lands. In most cases, it is better to resign earlier in the week rather than later. Monday or Tuesday often works better than Friday afternoon. Why? Because it gives your manager time to process the conversation, ask questions, and begin planning the transition during the same work week. Friday resignations can leave people stewing over the weekend, and that is usually not the tone you want to create. Also, whenever possible, deliver the news in person or over video first, then send the letter immediately after. That sequence matters. It shows respect, it shows professionalism, and it helps the letter serves its purpose as documentation rather than as a cold surprise in someone's inbox. Have the letter ready before the conversation so you can send it right away once you speak. That makes you look organized and composed. Now, here are a few mistakes to avoid because these can undermine an otherwise good exit. Do not use the resignation letter to complain. Do not mention your new salary. Do not name your new employer unless there is a specific reason you want to. Do not make the letter dramatic. Do not overshare. And do not forget to save a copy for your own records. This is a professional document. Keep it that way. Another point worth mentioning is that sometimes people overcomplicate the letter because they're anxious about the conversation. They try to soften it too much, or they bury the actual resignation under too much explanation. Do not do that. Be respectful, but be direct. Your manager should not have to read halfway through the letter to understand that you are resigning. Clarity is kindness here. The cleaner the message, the easier it is for everyone to move forward. And if you are wondering how to write a letter of resignation when still want to preserve the relationship, this is exactly how. Clear, appreciative, calm, professional. That combination protects your brand much better than emotional honesty or excessive apology. Let me also say this. Your resignation letter is part of a bigger career move. It is not just about ending one chapter, it is about how you enter the next one. Strong professionals do not only know how to get offers, they know how to transition well. They know how to live in a way that preserves their network, protects future references, and keeps their options open. That is part of a career strategy too. So if you are in the middle of a career change right now, do not treat this final step casually. Handle it with intention. Handle it with professionalism. Handle it in a way that reflects who you want to be in the next chapter of your career. So let's bring this together. If you want to know how to write a letter of resignation, the essentials are simple. State your resignation clearly, include your final day, express brief, genuine appreciation if appropriate, offer support for the transition, keep the tone professional. Deliver the news respectfully and never use the letter as a place to vent. Done well, your resignation letter helps protect your professional reputation and keeps doors open for the future. And if you're navigating a career move right now and want help with the next step, whether that is your resume, LinkedIn, your interview strategy, or your broader job search, this is exactly the kind of transition we help professionals manage at Yes Career Coaching. If you want expert support, schedule a consultation with us. The link is in the description below. We can help you make your next move stronger, smarter, and more strategic. And if this video was helpful, subscribe for more practical career guidance that helps you build momentum without making costly mistakes. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.